It's about that time of day again here, folks. Welcome back, welcome back. Time for that nightly newsletter. My name is Joseph James with your nightly newsletter for September 30th, 2014. Boy, oh boy, last day of the month, last day of the third quarter of 2014. I feel like we were just talking about the brand new year. We are cruising our way here through the year 2014, and boy, do I have an exciting newsletter in store for you guys and gals here this evening. Now, before we talk about what happened today, and boy, that title from last night's newsletter really says it all. Stay patient on Tuesday. Boy, if you took my advice and stayed patient, selling those highs, staying focused on the downside right now, take your pick. You're selling gold, easy money. Selling crude, $3 drop today. Okay. Selling Russell, yeah, a little bit slow at the beginning, right? But you got your chances towards the end of the morning today. I could go on about this all day, but we got some charts to get ready for tomorrow. So before we jump into our charts here today, three important things. But I need you guys to get over here to sidewaysmarkets.com. Make sure you're watching the video on Sideways Markets. That's our blog address here at School of Trade. If you're watching the video on our YouTube page right now, not to worry, there's a link right below the video. There are three important things here for you guys over on our blog. First, right below tonight's video, you can download all the charts I'm going to use today. That's right, I know, what a nice guy, right? All the time I spend here, about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours every day we spend setting up all these charts for you guys. You can download all those charts, have them ready with you tomorrow in my trade room or wherever you're trading tomorrow by clicking that link below the video. Second thing, upper left-hand corner, I got a special free pass for you guys and gals. Maybe you're wondering what it feels like to be in our trade room. Maybe you're wondering how we actually use these charts every day in our trade room. Well, you're in luck. I've got a special free pass for you guys. Upper left-hand corner, take me up on that offer. You're going to learn more in a few hours with me in my trade room than you will anywhere else on the web. I can pretty much guarantee that. Lower left-hand corner, third thing here this evening, I've got an email list. If you want to join my newsletter mailing list, I'll send you an email every evening about 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That way you know my newsletter is all set to go. All right? So, three things here on the blog. Download the charts below the video. Grab your free pass in the upper left-hand corner. And, of course, right above my ugly mug, register for our nightly newsletter mailing list. If you register for the mailing list or if you take the free pass, don't forget, check your email. I'm going to send you a verification email to make sure that you're not a robot. All right? So make sure you guys get on over there to the blog. You will not be disappointed here. All right. You ready to rock and roll? You get your helmet on? Seatbelts fastened? I know I do. Let's rock and roll here, guys. First of all, starting with the Russell, and once again, we continue to see this mighty mini Russell in oversold territory. We've got lower lows, lower highs. Today, we broke down below the 1100. I know I was talking about this earlier this week. I was curious to see if we could get below that big psychological, big round number, right? Whenever you see a bunch of zeros on that price, you know it's going to be, psychologically at least, it'll be a sticky level. So we're not out of the woods here yet, though, right? But we did get, as you can see here, all the way down to that target here today that we had given you last night. All right? This is not in hindsight. Go back and watch last night's newsletter. You'll see that target was there the entire time. Now, we know based on this 64 anchor, and you can see long-term here we're down. We are well oversold down at the lows of this bear channel, and you're probably thinking, yeah, you've heard this before. The most difficult areas to be trading are always going to be at the lows of a bear channel or the highs of a bull channel. So we know right now my trend is down. Where would a setup be? Where would be a trading setup? Well, for long-term traders, the best places to sell right now are going to be up around this 27.9 to 35.8 area. I have a reversal line at 34.3, and we've got another trigger zone set up at 47.2. So there's a little bit of a waiting game here if you want to get in on the best opportunities here to get short. Long-term traders, stay patient for that 27.9 area on the Russell. As we move a little bit closer, though, here, give you guys something a little bit easier for more short-term traders, You can see now we take that 64, cut that in half down to a 32, and now we get a much better look. We get our lower low today. With that lower low, now that opens up a brand new set of sell zones here. So 3 steps to success. What's my trend? Trend is down. How do I know? Lower lows, lower highs, red clouds, below the key moving average clouds. Easy. Where's my setup going to be? Well, I got a couple different setups. Now, I've chosen to ignore this reversal line setup, guys. If you're a member of mine, you're probably wondering why didn't he put that reversal line on there? It's because of that psychological level, that 1100. I'm going to try to stay away from that area. And again, members, notice it's a dotted line, right? Dotted line, always going to be a little bit treacherous around dotted lines. That's why I put that as a dotted line on there. So 1100 will be a price magnet. With that lower low, though, with my downtrend, I want to be selling short. I've got 4 trigger zones overhead. I know. It's going to be a busy area up here. I've got 5.9, 9.4, 12.6, and 18.2. 4 different trigger zone setups. You'll notice I've also got a trend line drawn over here. That would also be a valid setup as well for a short. And also, too, don't forget, download those bonus charts, and you can get an idea for how I'm finding this long-term channel, right? Because the top of that channel will also be a setup, all right? So we got channel setups. We've got trigger zone setups, trend line setups. The only setup that I kind of disqualified here was this reversal line setup. That's just because it's a dotted line. It's a big round number. So be aware of that. Okay, so that's going to be, looking at these charts right now, this would be the chart I would use the most right now with that 5.9. That's definitely going to be where you're going to get the sweet spot here, right? Getting that short somewhere around here. And again, we'll have to wait patiently for that here tomorrow morning. As I go further, I go from the 32, cut that in half down to the 16, and now we get a little bit more information, right? Now we get a little bit more information. I added the wave count to it just to make sure you guys see that we did get a 1, 2, 3 wave count reset on that. So we are making those fresh lows. Basically what that means is I can use both of these as my swings, right? If you're a student of mine, you know what that 1, 2, 3 wave count means. So now what's my trend? Very easy, right? What's my trend? Trend is down, nice and easy. Got red clouds, lower lows, lower highs. Now where's my setup? Again, I'm going to ignore this reversal line setup 1100. I have a trend line setup. That wouldn't be a bad sell setup there, right? Trend line. I've got the trigger zone at 3.3. Again, another 4 trigger zones you can see here. 3.3, 5.9, 8.5, and then just a delicious area up here at 12.6. So 12.6 looks like a pretty enticing area here all the way up at the high. So if we happen to, like on gold today, right, if we happen to just jump, I don't know, for whatever reason, don't be bashful. That's going to be a great spot to be a seller as well. So 4 sell zones overhead on the Russell. The Russell has definitely been, personality-wise, been very slow over the past 24 hours. It's very clear this Russell might be waiting on, I don't know, we got a little bit of non-farm payrolls come on Friday. Just a guess. We'll talk more about that in a moment. But right now, though, on the Russell, stay patient. Stay patient. We've had a very good week here so far, selling short on that Russell. Now we're at new lows. We're not selling here right now, right? So no selling here right now. If you missed it from last night, I gave you guys so many areas to sell last night. If you missed all of them, well, you missed it. The bus will be coming back here again at 3.3, so get ready to sell tomorrow morning. And again, as always, we'll be watching this stuff in real time with all of our students in the trade room. So come out and join us in the trade room tomorrow, and we'll walk you through all that stuff in real time. Moving forward from the Russell here to that funny yellow metal they call gold futures. Let's see here. Well, we are still hunting after that 1200. Remember, if you have not been listening to my newsletter over the past few weeks, that $1,200 a barrel, yep, you're exactly right. That's another big round number, big psychological level. This one's a little bit different, though. Now, in crude oil, we know that at $75 a barrel, right, the OPEC cartel, right? The OPEC countries, that's their break-even point for the cost of producing crude and then reselling it. $75 a barrel on crude. That same type of break-even point is $1,200 an ounce on gold. So the mining industry, which basically would include the entire continent of Australia, a large portion of Russia, right? Soon to be a large portion of the U.S., right? Now that new laws are being, well, I should say now that old laws are being tossed in the trash can and allowing miners to dig into the ground here in the U.S. So bottom line, though, is that 1200s, we assume, is going to be highly protected. I can only assume so far. I don't know for sure about yet, right? But I can only assume that 1200 will be extremely well guarded by lobbyists, hedgers, right? You name it. We can easily see what's my trend right now. Trend is down. Where's my setups right now? Just like the Russell. This is looking very similar to the Russell. I've got reversal line set up 38.9, trigger zone set up 76.6, channel set up overhead, and then possibly 13, 18. I don't see us getting there anytime soon. So clearly in a downtrend, clearly oversold in the big picture. If you're a long-term seller on gold, you've got some waiting to do. All right, we gave you guys long-term sellers. We gave you guys those levels, a lot earlier in this year. Now, where's going to be a more short-term area here? Now we're talking. Let's cut that 64.5 to a 32. What's my trend? Trend is down. How do I know? Lower lows, lower highs, red clouds, below the moving averages. Easy as falling off a horse. Now that I know my downtrend tells me to sell, what's a trader to do? Where am I going to sell? Well, I need a sell setup. As we go higher, I have a trend line setup. I have trigger zone setups, 24.5, 26.6, 12.30, and just like we mentioned on the Russell, this area right here is going to be your best bet for those shorts on gold right now. All right? So you got stay patient. Now, members, if you were with me today, you know about that big $2,000 winner we got off that short, right? We watched it go right up, sold it right back down. So that's why I'm not including this zone right there. If you're a member of mine, you're probably saying, Joe, what's going on with this? You missed that zone. No, it's already been hit once, right? We already got that sell earlier. And if you recall today at the end of the trade room today, I mentioned look out for that new lower low. We didn't get a lower low. So because we didn't get a lower low, this area right in here now, danger, 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 danger. Stay the heck away from the middle. Stay focused on selling up at that high, okay? So that's my job now on gold. Speaking of that lack of lower lows, that's a big concern here, especially going to the ECB report on Thursday, especially going to non-farm payrolls on Friday. I hate to say this, but if we don't see lower lows tomorrow, the rest of this week's going to be sideways, most likely on gold. All right, and I really don't want to say that. I hope we get to 1200 tomorrow. It's right, just a hop, skip, and a jump away. Now, it is a good 9 points away, right? So it's definitely got over 100 ticks to go until we get to 1200. So I hope we get there, but the reality is we got that great sell off the high today, right in the middle of the trade room session. Made a couple grand off that on the way down. That was relatively easy. But again, this last bit here today, we didn't see any lower lows. So no lower lows. This is the same clue on gold that we got on the Russell last week and the crude before that, right? This is no different. So we were waiting to see if it would keep going lower. It didn't keep going lower. That is a huge red flag right now. So big red flag. We didn't see lower lows at the end of the session today. It's not a guarantee, but it's definitely a heads up. If we don't see this price going lower here tomorrow, something is most likely wrong, or they're waiting on something. That's probably the case. They're probably waiting on something later on this week. So what am I going to do? Well, I already know my trend is still down, right? That hasn't changed. Now look for a setup. So I've got a setup at the top, right? Trend line setup. There's one. Trigger zone setup, 17.4, 19.7. Trigger zone setup. And then again, there's that delicious setup, having some fun with you guys here, all the way up at the highs, right? So, guys, do not be surprised if this gold just goes, all right, suckers, see ya, all the way up, chops around. I will be selling that right back down, all right? Now, be very, very careful selling short down here, all right? Be careful. You're only a hop, skip, and a jump away from that 1,200. You're going to have to be really aggressive to get in on a short down to that 1,200. You really are. I very rarely can recommend jumping in short at the low. I don't like selling at a discount. I like selling at a premium. I like selling at overbought territory, not oversold territory. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be seeing right away, because I'm going to show you guys, get a lot of news here overnight. If this gold does not get shaken up, we got news tonight out of Asia, tomorrow morning out of London. If this gold doesn't make new lower lows, that means we got to stay patient here. And again, I've got some great selling opportunities here, but again, stay patient for those. And we should have no reason not to stay patient now, because after the last few days, staying patient seems like it pays pretty well. Let's keep going. We wrap up here. Last market here today is the crude oil futures. Now, I know. I'm not going to toot my horn too much on this one, but we definitely nailed this crude. Nailed it. All right? As in, take out the hammer, tack it to the wall. We nailed this thing. And I got to really thank Charles Dow. I got to thank Richard Wyckoff. Right? We got to thank all of our grandfathers of technical analysis, or should I say westernized technical analysis. That's right. Professional traders don't make things up. We just evolve what has been passed down from prior generations. I'm a student of technical analysis. I would encourage you to be as well. Fundamental analysis is so much more difficult. I mean, look at it. There's the smartest people in the world right now call themselves fundamentalists, and they have no idea what the hell they're talking about. Look at this. Look at the ECB right now. Look at our Fed. Those are the smartest people in the world. Do you think they know what's going to go on next? No, they do not. We seem to be very well in tune with just technicals. And technicals are great because you don't need experience. I use patterns. I use rules. You don't need to have 30 years experience like you would if you needed to be using fundamentals. So technicals, we gave the benefit of the doubt to the sell side. And guys, gave you some great opportunities to sell short this month of September on crude. Yesterday was another example. Go back and watch last night's newsletter. You see exactly what I'm talking about. So where are we right now? We know we had this big drop today, right? This baby dropped over $3 off that high today. The early session, 5:30 a.m., that was when the move started. And then it was literally all the way through the U.S. morning session, all the way down. We were joking around today in our trade room talking about, are we going to go limit down today? Probably not going to go limit down. Probably not going to go limit down in today's conditions. The limits on crude are $10 each way. So we would have had to have gone to 85 today. We would have had to gone all the way to that target down there, 85, right, to get limit down here today. That's probably not going to happen. Not with OPEC still around. They'll find a way to call the exchange and shut that off before we go limit down. Now, let's see here. We've got a long-term downtrend, unless you've been living under a rock, right? You don't know that. We already know we got a long-term downtrend. I've got lower lows up until earlier on this week, and then there was that exact example. That was the same example we saw last week, last Monday, that told us the party was over to the downside temporarily. We just saw the same clue on gold. So, of course, we looked and we defined our sideways range, and we found some great selling opportunities at the high of that range. Now, what's my trend? Trend is down. Second step, where's my setups? Sell setups, trigger zone 92.88, trigger zone 94.04, trigger zone 94.74, trigger zone 97.89, 4 different trigger zones overhead. Also, too, can't forget about this big old channel, right? We get the channel high, call it a trend line setup, call it a trigger zone trigger line setup, or a channel setup, whatever you want to call it, guys. Just don't be late to that trade. So right now, the way it appears right now, if you missed that easy selling opportunity off crude that I gave you guys 24 hours ago, if you missed it, well, you missed it. Now wait again here for the next jump up so we can sell it again. I do not want to sell right here. All right, I do not want to sell right here, right now. Let's go a little bit faster time frame here on crude. Zoom it right in here, and now you're starting to see what I'm talking about. See, on the 64, you can't really get a good idea of what that's doing in the 64, right? You can zoom in a little bit closer here, right? And that will show you, again, we didn't get a lower low here, so do not sell right here. Right? If we would have gone lower here right now, I would have said, okay, wait for it to come back up. Let's rock and roll. But we're not quite there yet. We get a great short off the high, but we're not out of the woods here yet. The key word here is yet. So I'm going to still continue to put the benefit of the doubt on the side of the sellers. I'm still going to continue to get short at the highs, at resistance. I've got my downtrend right now, but again, I'm relatively concerned here that we didn't get below that trend line, which tells me that we definitely had a nice little sell-off there off the highs and nice easy profitability on that, but we didn't see the full extension, right, which is what we really would have liked to have seen to really be 110% bearish right now. So right now we're right back into the middle of the range, and I'm going to do the same thing before. Literally, we have the same plan tomorrow as we did today and the following day. Stay patient. Sell zones overhead. Trigger zones 92.88, 94.04, 94.80, 95.39. That's where I'm looking to stay to the short side here right now on the crude. You'll notice I marked up these two areas right there. These two are going to be your best bet. This area right here, 92.88, 93.36. You can give it a shot there, but of course it's going to be lower percentage. So the sell at 93.36, 92.88, that will be lower percentage. Why? Why, guys? Why? Because it's in the middle, right? I want to be towards that high. I want to get up towards those highs and sell it. All right? You can do whatever you want, but just remember that 93.36, 92.88 area, it's going to be lower percentage here for the sell sides. If you like skydiving, wooden roller coasters, right? If you like looking over the edge of the Empire State Building, if you like a little bit of risk, a little bit of danger, right? You can look to buy this thing right now. You can see we are in a buy zone here at 91.37. We got another one down here at 90.44. And of course, right, we can't deny we're at a trend line here. So, I mean, there is going to be most likely some short covering rally. There'll be some speculators. Right, you'll have some gamblers that will come into the market and go, well, it's made that $3 down. It can't keep going lower, right? Yeah, right. What's the old saying? Right, the market can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent, right? That's the old saying, right? So the gambler's fallacy says, we already went $3 down. We can't possibly keep going, right? Oh, yeah, we can. Just you watch it, right? These markets will do whatever the hell they want to do. What we want to do is make the market come to us where we know we have the odds are in our favor, right? If you were playing poker, you want to wait until you get that full house, right? Until all of a sudden you've got the edge and you can take down the house. So right now I'm looking to sell the highs here. That's where we're going to get our best trades here right now on crude. And again, buying the lows. Again, if you like a little danger, right, you can try to buy these lows right now, but take that money quick. Take that money quick because you know the long-term trend is still down. If we get down to these lows again, yep, you can buy them, but I'm going to be focused here right now on getting new lower lows. I want to see us get to that 88.50 tomorrow. That's what I would love to see before I get fully committed back to the downside aggressively. Right now, we're back in the middle of that range. Stay the heck away from this middle. Stay focused on selling those highs. This is an easy job on crude. The hardest part right now is staying patient. And then last but not least on crude, my 16 anchor, this chart right off the bat, this chart is that irrational market. This is such an easy example of why you really got to be careful. If you're a member of mine, you know this. When we see straight lines up or down like this, that's an irrational market. A big drop like this tells me that somebody walked into that movie theater and said, fire, right? And everybody just went bananas. This is a classic case of an irrational market. And so what's going to happen is your normal trigger zones, your normal sell setups right now Well, you've got an irrational market. It consolidates down here. Again, you'll have some bargain hunters, some gamblers who are going to start buying this. So again, be careful right now on crude. Don't let that big profit off that short give you a reason to give it all back. Ride the horse that got you here. Again, be very careful about this 92.88 area, 93.36. However, I'm going to leave it there because it is going to be an area, if you're a buyer, that makes a great target. But that would be the earliest I'd be looking for to get short right now here on my account. I've got minor reversal lines here, 92.06. Minor reversal lines here, 92.74. I just don't trust it. I don't trust a big drop down. I want to see it get up here again, and then once it starts making its move back lower again, then we'll start looking for those shorts again. Come out and see me tomorrow morning in my live trade room. As always, we kickstart the day at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, Monday through Friday, and I'll be sure to walk you guys through everything I'm seeing on crude. Just really, what a great week, though, so far. It's only Tuesday. Talking about tomorrow's news reports here. Tomorrow is October 1st. Wow. October 1st. Now, the beginning of the month is notorious for lots of buyers on crude oil. Shipping companies, airline companies, freight companies, mining companies. Who else, right, could possibly be using crude oil? Cruise liners, right? Anybody who's a big consumer of crude oil, the black gold, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, they're going to be coming to the market here, hedging themselves against rising prices by buying crude, right? If you owned a cruise liner, you probably wouldn't be listening to this right now. But if you owned a cruise liner, right, you'd hopefully be in the south of France right now in the Mediterranean. But if you did own a cruise liner, your biggest threat would be what? It would be rising prices of gasoline, right? Because that would eat into your profits of running your cruise liner or your airliner or your shipping company or your whatever, fill in the blanks. Okay, talking about news for tomorrow. We don't have to think about tomorrow. We get tonight. Tonight, 7:50, 9 o'clock, 9:30, 9:35. If you're in Asia, it's party time, all right? If you're in Asia, no, I'm not talking about going to Hong Kong and joining all the Occupy group. I'm talking about being at your desk and being ready for that TANCAN survey. The TANCAN survey happens 4 times a year. It's one of the most important. Remember, guys, Japan is a small country with a huge economy. Right? Last time I checked, they were the top 5. Are they still the second? They're not the second largest anymore, right? So it's U.S., China, Japan. It's got to be something like that now. But bottom line, they are in the top 3 to 5 economies in the world right now. And so we know that Japan, their TANCAN survey, a business survey, just like the German IFO, 4 times a year, very, very important. And then, I don't know, I'm going to go out on a limb right now and say I think the manufacturing number out of China just might be a little bit important. So that's a big news report tomorrow. We got retail sales out of Oz, and we got manufacturing, of course, from our good friends in Japan as well. So if you're looking for opportunity tonight, look no further. Starting at 7:50 all the way till 9:45, and then we go starting up here October 1st off in Europe. I've got news coming out of India, 1 o'clock, 3:30 from the Swiss. I've got big news, though, tomorrow with France and Germany. Wow, we get a bunch of big news tonight. Tonight and tomorrow. Tonight we hear from manufacturing out of China, TANCAN from Japan. Boy, that could be my next R&B release, right? TANCAN. That was a bad joke. Back to trading. Focus. 350, 355. I've got manufacturing indexes here out of Europe. That's going to be huge. That's going to be a very, very big mover just before 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. I've got 4:30 a.m., 5 a.m., 8:15. We jump into the U.S. session. Let's talk about the U.S. session tomorrow. For the U.S. session tomorrow, I have 8:15 a.m. Eastern Time. That's the ADP employment report. Now, the ADP employment report is the little news report that could. Here's why. First of all, you may or may not notice this, but we have a little tiny news number on Friday called non-farm payrolls. Friday morning, 8:30 a.m., non-farm payrolls. What that means to me is that this ADP number which historically is very accurate at being a leading number ahead of Friday's non-farm payrolls. This is not usually a very important report, but over the past year, though, it has quickly become one of the secret weapons of traders who are longer term and looking to position themselves ahead of that non-farm payroll report. Bottom line, do not be fooled by that minor looking news report at 8:15 tomorrow morning. It may not move the markets immediately, but later on in the morning, though, you will see that will have an impact, if not immediately, a little bit later on in the process. As we go forward here, all ready to go there, we know that we have 9:45, 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and 10:30 before talking about tomorrow night's merchandise trade in Australia. Real quick, we know the ADP report at 8:15 is going to be a minor report with potentially big movers after it. I'm focused here on the 10 o'clock ISM and the 10:30 crude oil inventories. Be ready for 9:45 and 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock should be where we get the meat and potatoes here tomorrow morning in the U.S. session. You're definitely going to get some movement out of Asia. You're definitely going to get some movement out of that news at 4 a.m. Out of France and Germany. And then in the U.S. session, we get even more big moving news, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, right, from the ISM Manufacturing Index. Real quick, tomorrow's Wednesday. Wednesdays should always tell you crude. What does that mean? That means tomorrow, be careful on crude before 10:30. Be patient on crude after 10:30. A lot of very successful traders in my trade room don't even touch crude on Wednesdays at all. So be careful with crude tomorrow, especially after we had that irrational drop. Maybe not irrational drop, but the drop that became irrational, right, once we got below 93. So be careful on crude tomorrow. Don't be surprised if you're real slopped up and chopped up before 10:30. And then if you do want to trade crude with me tomorrow, I'm going to be sitting on hands from 10:15 a.m. until at least 10:40. After we get through 10:40 a.m., then I'm going to try to find out where's my direction and then follow that direction. One thing we always want to remember, besides being patient after the news, is that the initial knee-jerk reaction to that news is often the opposite. And you can go back in time, months and years, and you can see if the news comes out at 10:30 and price immediately jumps up, be ready for the sell. Keep in mind the actual news event on the petroleum status report, the inventory report tomorrow. That actual news report has absolutely nothing to do with the way the market will react to it. Crude oil is not a reality market. It's a perception market, right? It has nothing to do with what's really going on. There's never been a threat over supply of crude oil. We have hundreds of years worth of reserves of the black gold. There's never been a threat, but yet every time the Middle East gets violent, they talk about it, right? It has nothing to do with reality. It's all perception, which means don't stress too much about the news event itself tomorrow morning. You just make sure you stay very careful before the news comes out. Stay patient after the news comes out. Find the direction after 10:40. And remember, oftentimes the initial reaction, right, if we go higher after the news comes out, I'm then looking for a short after 10:40. All right? Nothing is guaranteed. Nothing ever is guaranteed in day trading. So come out and see me tomorrow morning. We'll update you guys on what happened out of Asia. We'll bring you guys up to speed on what happened out of London. And then we'll get ready for 8:15 employment report tomorrow, 9:45. Again, the big news tomorrow at 10 a.m. and 10:30. All righty? You got it, guys and gals. You got it. An awesome week, an awesome month of September. And I'll tell you, we made more profit in the third quarter than any other quarter this year and over the past 5 years. So the last 90 days have been some of our most successful trading over the past half decade. Give yourselves a pat on the back. Obviously, it helps that we had some big moves on gold and crude. But boy, you know, as my good buddy Winston Churchill always says, luck happens when you're prepared, right? I believe in luck. The harder I work, the luckier I get. By being prepared, we tend to get lucky, don't we? Guys, I want to thank you so much for being on the newsletter tonight. Thank you for sharing this information with a friend. Don't forget to tell your buddies out there in day trading land, join the free trial. I've got someone standing by here 24 hours a day. English is their first language to give you guys a hand if you have any questions. And don't forget to check out information on our 3 levels of membership. We've been doing this for over 10 years here at School of Trade. There's no wonder why we're the longest running, most successful trading education site on the planet, period. And if there's anybody else out there that wants to take the crown, I would love to know who. My name is Joseph. Thank you so much for being here today, guys and gals. Don't forget, share with a friend. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning at the Trader at 8 o'clock in the morning. And what a great day wrapping things up at the end of the month of September. All right. Boy, those Patriots looked great last night on Monday Night Football. Huh? Go Pats. Yikes. Guys and gals, I'll see you in the morning. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye for now.